All right, about 30 seconds left. Get all the last remaining items and head back. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. Okay, let's see. So I can't see all the screens, but I'm going to have the officers help me out. Who thinks they've got at least 5 of the items? Raise your hand. All right. That's most of you. Nice. Okay. What about 10 of the items? At least 10. Wow, that's a lot of you. Good job. Okay. And now what about 15? All of the items. Anyone raise their hand? Darn, I can't see all of them at once. If anyone's raised their hand, officers, let me know so I can write them down. No one got 15. What about 14? Or write your name in the chat if you've got at least 13 or 14. 13. Nice. Anyone got 14? 13. Ooh, so we've got a tie. Okay, let's see. Shivni, how do you want to split this up? If we've got 4.
Okay, Joyce, why don't you say one more item, and then whoever gets it first and shows it on the Zoom wins.
Okay, like a random item. Who's got a, let's say, I don't know. I'm blanking right now. If anyone else can help me out. A calculator. Right away. This is like a sudden death.
I got it.
Got it? Who said yes?
Oh, up first. Excuse me.
Oh, congratulations. Okay, can you? Nice. Can you put your name in the chat so then we can have a recording and then we'll send you your free burst shirt. Congratulations and good job, everyone. Thanks for joining in.
All right, sweet. So that was fun. But now we're going to take a minute and do some introductions of all the officers again, just for our new faces. And then in case you guys don't know us or haven't talked to us before or don't really know what our roles in Burst is, we just wanted to take a minute and explain what we do. We do have a few officers missing because they're representing Burst at the virtual organization fair. So we're just going to skip them and introduce the officers that are present today. So my name is Shibneet Warar. I'm the president. I'm a senior biochemistry major. And as president, I have the roles of leading the general meetings, the officer meetings, essentially coordinating with all the officers, making sure all of our large events and small events are possible, and just bringing new research opportunities to you guys.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Joyce Shaw. I am your vice president for events, or more specifically, academic events. I am a junior this year and I'm majoring in biology. A little spiel of what I do is I host a little mini committee called my academics committee, and we host workshops from intro to coding, lab techniques workshops, MCAT GRE workshops, letting you know how to study for these things, how to apply for grad school and medical school, and interview and resume workshops, and many more. And also I'll be hosting committee applications this year. So if you're interested in applying, please apply to my committee. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Catherine Atkins. I'm a senior neuroscience major, and I'm the vice president of journal clubs. And basically my job is to arrange all the journal clubs and arrange lab tours too, that y'all guys could go on to see and experience labs.
Angela, if you want to go next, Isha and Annie and Ruhi aren't here.
Okay, I'm Angelo. I'm a biology major, senior, and I'm one of the resources co-chairs. And basically our responsibility is to host all the service events, and then also the mentoring program that we're going to reinstate this semester.
Hi, everybody. For those who don't know me, my name is Cher Sada. I am a junior
University Scholars major. And I'm also one of the other resource co-chairs.
Hi everyone, I'm Tiffany. I'm a sophomore neuroscience major. I'm the secretary, so I'm the one that sends out all your Sunday weekly emails, and I also make sure your points are updated all the time.
Hi everyone, my name is Tuba Harris. I'm a sophomore bioinformatics major. I'm also the treasurer, so essentially I oversee the burst funds and organize fundraising events. I also host a fundraising committee, and we do have applications open for the semester, so I hope to see y'all apply.
Hi, I'm Akshat. I'm the social events chair. I'm a sophomore at Business Fellows, and I'm basically in charge of research coffee hours, social events, family groups, and our post-meeting socials.
All right, so now we're going to get into our usual announcements and some more about Burst, but we're going to start off with our member of the bye week. So for this bye week, it's Warren. Congratulations, Warren. Thank you so much for all of your work last semester on the academic events committee. He really helped make some of those computer science and coding events possible, and I know he has some in the works for this semester. So thanks, Warren. You get a free shirt.
Oh, thank you very much.
Okay, so our membership requirements have not changed too much since last semester. Your goal should still be to earn 16 points by the end of the semester to remain an active member, and those points are separated into 4 different categories. So general events, journal clubs, service events, and one special event, which is HOT, not RID as last semester was. And if you're a part of a research lab, you're welcome to fill out the form that's linked to earn 6 points of research credit. So there's a points breakdown of all the events that we offer, and you can check your points at any time on our master spreadsheet, which can be found either on our website or at the top of our weekly emails. Okay, and there are 3 different ways you can be kept in the loop about Burst events. So the first way is through the weekly email that's sent every Sunday evening at around 10 p.m. And you can also check out our website or Instagram at Baylor Burst.
So if you're a prospective member looking to join Burst, the 4, big steps are go to the Burst website and fill out the membership form, and then pay the dues, which are $25 on PayPal, and you get a Burst t-shirt, and then you can start attending Burst events.
So those of you who are considering joining Burst this semester, I would definitely encourage you to. I think Burst is a really great organization that encompasses a lot of different aspects that you might be looking to develop. So not only do we help foster your research side and help you develop those lab techniques, but we also have service events and socials, and really want to see more community within pre-health and in the research community. So if you're looking for all of those things in one organization, Burst is definitely the one for you. Here are a few of the events that we offer, and the officers will talk more about them, but we have lots of journal clubs and lab tours to help familiarize you with all of the research that goes on at Baylor. We also host research lectures at all of our general meetings, so professors will come in and talk about their research, and if they're looking for undergrads to join their lab, it's a great point of connection for you to learn more about what they do. And then Joyce was saying we host academic workshops as well as different events that you can participate in. And then this semester, we'll actually be hosting our first conference, so look out more for that. And then of course, we also publish Scientia, which is Baylor's only STEM undergraduate research journal. So after you join a lab and you write your own article about your research, you're welcome to publish it in our journal. So if you are currently involved in research and want a presentation opportunity, the CTURC virtual conference abstract form is due tomorrow, so you still have some time to apply. And they're asking for a 2-minute video explaining your research, and then they'll choose the best videos from each division to go on and give a live virtual presentation on February 20th. So if you submit for this conference, send us a screenshot and we'll give you a burst point just for submitting. Personally, I attended this conference when it was in person a few years ago, and I know several other burst members have attended. So definitely take advantage of this opportunity. And then we also have the Be True and pre-health internship deadlines coming up. So if you're interested in staying in Waco this upcoming summer and doing research, definitely apply to one of these internships. Dr. K and the research department will be hosting 2 info sessions over these internships next Monday and Tuesday, so definitely go. And if you're not able to go, Dr. K actually was at RID and explained the Be True internship and kind of what she's looking for in the applicants. And you can find a recording of that session on our YouTube page.
So basically, for social events, we're back. So family groups, we're trying to start up again. The leaders will end up contacting your groups. And if you don't have a family group, make sure to private message me right now on Zoom, or you can email me at that on the screen right now. And we'll get you situated in a group according to your major, and basically make it to where you're in a group that makes you feel, that can basically help you do better at Baylor. So events coming up, we have a lot of fun social events lined up for you. But for now, we're gonna have our first research coffee hour next week. So be sure to look out on Sunday for a weekly email on that. And then our post-meeting social is gonna be right after this. So make sure to stay and we'll have fun.
So for this semester, we have 2 committee applications open, the Academic Events Committee, which is led by Joyce, and the Fundraising Committee, which is led by me. And applications are due by Friday, February 5th, which is next Friday. So I encourage everybody to apply. Also, please pick up your t-shirts tomorrow. Come by the sub near Common Grounds between 1:30 and 3:30.
So here are the next 2 weeks journal clubs for the next 2 weeks. We have physiology, and if you're unfamiliar, read a research article or you don't really feel comfortable, please come to one of the how to read a research article. We'll go over how to read a research article and like how basically the format of like every research article you'll come across, and it'll help you become more fluent at reading research articles. You can sign up in the weekly email, and there's also this URL link that brings you to a page with all the signups.
Okay, so these are the current service opportunities that we are offering right now. You can just see them listed on the left. And if you want a more in-depth description of each of the volunteering service opportunities, who you can contact, whether they're virtual or in person, then I would recommend just going and scanning using the QR code with your phone. There is one additional service opportunity that Sierra will just briefly talk about, and I'll hand that off to her.
So these are more like seasonal kind of. I know a lot of people were thinking about, some people like to have long services and some people like to get everything done in one thing. So I'm offering a lot of different kinds of services. The next one we have starting up will start from like whenever you sign up to the end of the semester, and I'll send the flyer. Basically what it's going to be is kind of like a marathon, but on your own time. If you post this on your story on Instagram, Snapchat, whatever, for every $1 that's donated to this, and make sure that the people who donate let you know that they send the $1. Every $1 that's donated, you have to complete 1/4 mile. And for every mile that's completed, you'll get a service hour. You can run, walk, bike, skateboard, as long as you're getting active and helping donate to the Waco Center for Waco Advocacy Center for Crime Victims and Children. It's a really great center, and I really am excited to help them. Our next one will be a Valentine's parade, and I'll send this. We're still trying to figure out what time. So if you guys if you're interested in doing a Valentine's parade for Arbor House, a nursing home that's like 10 minutes away from Baylor, they seem like a really great place. if you can fill that out, if you're really interested, just let me know what times you can be there, if you have a car, if you're willing to carpool, any of that stuff. And then in April for Earth Day, I'm thinking about setting up a service opportunity to clean up the river that's going right next to the BSB, because the BSB is a really big thing for us because of research. And I think it'd be great to make sure that it's clean and beautiful for Earth Day.
All right, so for academic events, we have a lot going for you guys this month and next month. So for research internship programs, so I know a lot of the deadlines are coming up for you all. And so in order to prepare you all for the cover letters, scouting for letter of recommendations, and knowing how to plan out those essays, we're going to be hosting first summer research internship program workshop for you all on February 4th at 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. All these times are central times. I'm just stating that just specifically for people who are at home or studying online in another place. And so be there if you want to get some insight on how to apply efficiently and be prepared. The second event we have for you all is the Intro to Coding workshop. This one will be specifically led by one of my committee members, Warren, as you saw earlier. He will be talking about C++ and Java and the basics for getting into both languages. And so this one will also be 1 hour on the 8th, 4:30 to 5:30. The next one is the MCAT workshop with one of our Kaplan representatives. They're very knowledgeable in this field, so they'll be able to help you out, give you any insight, answer your questions. And that will be on February 24th from 5 to 6 p.m. And then our GRE workshop, it's a little bit early, but we already planned it out with Kaplan, the same representative. They'll be giving you insights and advice on that one as well. That one will be March 24th from 5 to 6 p.m. Central Time. Some of the upcoming events that will be listed with concrete dates and Zoom links will be sent out this coming Sunday's weekly email and the Burst Instagram. But those will be the Intro to Coding for Python and R, interview skills workshop with our BU Career Center, and the cover letter and resume workshop, as well as the pre-professional panel that one of my committee members is also working on. So be on the lookout for those. All the Zoom links will be in the Burst weekly emails. And so now, without further ado, we're going to be getting right into our panel. So please welcome our 5 research panelists for today. First one is Sam. He is majoring in bioinformatics. Justin majors in biology. Alexis in math and physics. Akshat in business fellow. And Catherine in neuroscience. So if we can go on to the next slide. Just for all the panelists, since I went in that specific order, we can also go in that order. So Sam can start us off. Give your introductions, your name, major, year, track and concentration, and describe the kind of lab or group that you're in.
Yeah, so again, as Joyce mentioned, I'm Sam Shinoy. I'm a senior, so I'm graduating in 2021. I'm majoring in bioinformatics, and I'm also in the honors program. And then I'm on the pre-med track. And so for lab-wise, I'm not in a particular lab. I'm working with Dr. Baker on my honors thesis project, but yeah, not a research group.
Hey y'all, my name is Justin Presley. I am a senior biology major on the pre-grad track. My concentration is integrative biology, and my lab is in the environmental science department with Dr. Bruce.
Hi everyone, my name is Alexis Simmons. I'm a physics and math major, planning on going to grad school, and I'm in the dynamic imaging analysis lab with Dr. Olson in the physics department.
Hey, I'm Akshat. I'm a sophomore business fellows and biology major. I'm on the pre-med track, and basically I'm in a research group over the effects of COVID on healthcare professionals.
Hi guys, my name is Catherine Atkins. I'm a neuroscience major. I'm a senior and I'm on the MD PhD track, and I'm a part of Dr. Vijaya's psychoneuroimmunology lab. We basically have both wet components and mice models, and we look into how basically the psychological affects your health.
Awesome, thank you. So the first question we have for you all, how did you choose your research group or advisor at Baylor? I know Sam, you mentioned that you aren't in a specific group. You can also mention how you chose Dr. Baker as your thesis professor.
Yeah, so I was really interested in bioinformatics, and Dr. Baker and I got to know Dr. Baker actually in the beginning of my time here at Baylor when he's a bioinformatics professor, so I reached out to him my freshman year. I was like, hey, I want to do research, and he put me in contact with another professor, and I did a project with that professor for a year. And then when it came to do my thesis project, I was like, I want to do something biology related, as well as have a computer science component. And so I reached out to Dr. Baker again, and he was like, yeah, let's work on a project together. And so that's where I am today.
For myself, I knew that I wanted to do research, but I didn't know where exactly I wanted to do it, like what field. So I just went on like Baylor's directory and looked at like all the professors in like the College of Arts and Sciences to see like what categories I thought that I would want to do. And so I like kind of narrowed down like a list of like 10 people just from like different fields like environmental science, biochemistry, anthropology. And so I would just read some of their papers, see like what their research was about. And I reached out and I personally emailed all of them to see if I could get like an interview for them. And like some of them either didn't like email back or they would say like, oh, my lab is full. But I got a couple emails back and I interviewed with some people and I got some offers and I just chose environmental science because I liked my PI and I liked the work that she was doing.
So I actually got to do some research outside of Baylor before I joined the lab here at Baylor. And the research that I did outside of Baylor kind of had to do with medical imaging. And so I was looking for a lab to join here, and I saw that one of the professors in the physics department, which is my home department, had the dynamic imaging analysis lab. And I was like, oh, I want to learn some more about imaging. So he let me come in and I just talked to him about like the work he does in his lab and the projects that he's working on. And I said I was interested, and he let me come in as a student.
So I was more into business, so I applied for the CMO internship, and that was during the summer. And then from there, my group and I went on to, we still are continuing to do research over basically since it was during COVID. So our project was focused on figuring out any moral injury on healthcare professionals, specifically family medicine residents, due to COVID, and we're using a whole Delphi model, and it's pretty cool.
I knew when I came to Baylor that I really wanted to do research in neuro-oncology. I developed the interest since the death of my young cousin back in 2016. And so I started talking to different professors around, and there wasn't really a lab when I first was asking around about that focus mainly on neuro-oncology. But by talking to different professors, one of the professors gave me a hint saying that they just interviewed and hired Dr. Vichaya, who had previously worked at MD Anderson around topics I was really focused at. So I was super excited, and I emailed her like her first semester. She like during her first week, and since I was so enthusiastic and like the other had like backup, like I had the professors that I'd been talking about recommend me to her, I was able to get into her lab.
That's awesome. I'm really happy for you. And so this next question is, what is your experience like working with graduate students and professors in your lab/group and play a role in research?
Yeah, so my experiences, I work mainly for my research here at Baylor. I've been working with Dr. Baker pretty much one-on-one. Some of his grad students have helped me out, kind of figure out certain technology tools. But the thing about computer science research is it's very kind of, you can kind of do everything by yourself. So you don't really get that interaction with other grad students as much. During my summer internships, though, I definitely got to work with a bigger lab group. And it was really interesting because I would talk to some of the people who had master's degrees in bioinformatics, some people who were doing their PhD in bioinformatics and who came from a biology background. And we'd all get together and discuss like journal articles and different stuff like that. And so it was really interesting to hearing their different perspectives. Just one more thing is like there was also medical doctors, so you'd hear the clinical aspect as well. So it was really interesting to see that interplay.
So my first year in my lab, we had 3 different grad students and then like 3 different undergrads. And so whenever I was there, I would be there like probably 2 to 3 days a week, and I would just bounce around helping out different grad students with whatever they needed help with like their cells and stuff like that. And this past year, we dropped down to just 1 grad student because the other 2, like they left and like they transferred to other places. And so now I'm working primarily with that 1 grad student, but I have like my own project that we're all doing together as a lab. And so that's been kind of fun. I haven't personally seen the professor who's over my lab like work in lab except for like 1 time, but like we know that she's doing a lot. We just like never see her because she's also a professor. So she's like super busy during the times that we're always there.
So the lab that I work in here at Baylor is pretty small. It's just me and another grad student, and we work on 2 completely different projects. But he's been really helpful because we do use a lot of the same software. And then since the lab is so small, the professor that I work with is very like involved. If I need help just coming in, I didn't have any experience in the coding language that we use most of the time, which is IDL. So that makes it pretty nice.
For us, we're mainly student-led, but then as our research developed, Dr. Sanker has been helping us out throughout, so that's been really cool. And then we also have a grad student with us, or sorry, medical student from Stanford who was actually a Baylor undergrad. So talking to him and just having him like help out throughout and just give us advice has been really interesting.
In my lab, we have our PI and 2 grad students. I really love my PI. She's a great mentor. I have learned so many different techniques used in cell culture and mice. I have, as well as learning how to conduct literature reviews and writing protocols and designing my own experiments. And also the grad students are super friendly, are super helpful, and like Dr. V likes doing, like she likes having like them teach us how to do things and then have us teach other members how to do the same techniques, so everyone learns how to mentor someone else. It's a really unique experience.
Awesome. All right, the next question, have you published and or presented your research? And can you elaborate on either or both of these experiences?
Yes, I've published 1 paper, I believe, so far, and I presented at, so the paper I published, I also presented at the American Medical Informatics Conference. And so that's with computer scientists, like you submit a paper to a conference and then you give a talk about it. And then I've also presented some other projects at like URSA and like the end of research internships. So
I have not presented any of my research. Like we've only had like 1 person out of like our 6 undergrads who's like presented any of our research in our lab because we just all like hate public speaking. We just hate it. We just don't want to talk about it, but we like what we're doing. So I haven't presented. I was supposed to get published this last year, but my last project got canceled because of COVID, so I didn't get published. And so now we're working on a new publication and we're supposed to submit it in April or May. So it probably won't get published before I graduate, which is a bummer, but my name will still be on there, hopefully, if I don't like mess up too much. But right now we're still doing like all of the wet lab stuff for it. So we haven't gotten into like the editing and the writing part of it. So I'm kind of nervous about that because I've never done it before, but I trust my grad student. She's published a lot of papers and she's always very helpful with that.
I've done a couple of poster presentations over my summer research, and I think like the first presentation was definitely the hardest. I was definitely the most nervous that time, but after a while, I kind of got into a groove with it and kind of got used to public speaking, which is terrifying, but we got through it. And I think what helped me through it was just knowing that I'd worked hard on the project, and by the time you're ready to present a research project, you're basically an expert in that project because you did all that work for it. So yeah, that's how my presentations went.
We had a mini presentation at the end of our summer session, but it wasn't anything substantial since we're still in our process of getting information in and getting our next rounds of the Delphi model surveys in. I think we're anticipating to get our paper in in about 5 or 6 months, but yeah, nothing yet.
I haven't had experience publishing or presenting in Dr. V's lab yet because it's fairly recent. We just opened, her lab just opened back in like 1 year ago, literally. But I have presented for my different labs. Like I was in Dr. Adair's Bears in the Sea bacteriophage lab, and I presented at URSA and at regional conferences. And what my professor did to prepare us would be, we would have like group presentations every week. And that really helped us because like she would critique us, and like from those criticisms, we were able to become better. We learned. And as far as publishing, I did the summer internship last summer, and I worked with a doctor, and we're still working on the paper, but it was a really unique experience. Just even drafting is just drafting a paper, just learning about how to write. It's great. So if you have an opportunity to publish or even just draft or to present your work, poster or orally, I always say take that opportunity because it's a cool experience.
All right. So have you done background research prior to joining a lab on campus or for your summer research programs?
So I'm assuming that background research mean like on the program themselves, right? Yeah. So yeah, for me, so I for my summer program specifically, I did some background research. But I did 2 summer programs, one after my sophomore year and one after my junior year, and they're both oncology focused. One of the things that I got really into by doing my first research internship was precision oncology, because it's like the ability we can like treat patients based on their individual patients based on their individual profile, and I think that's really cool. And there's a lot of areas for
Yeah, like I said earlier, I didn't know what field that I wanted to go into research on, and so I had to like do some research on that to see like where I thought that I would fit in the best. And so once I like kind of narrowed it down, I never like imagined that I would land into like an environmental science lab, but once I saw that my professor was like looking at like toxicology and how it was like a human health aspect of environmental science, I thought that was pretty cool. And so it took a minute for me to like actually like apply to any labs because I was reading through like some of the research papers, like seeing like, okay, like is this something that I actually like want to commit so much time to? But once I read through the papers and saw that I liked him and the professors were nice, I knew what I was going to do.
So before I applied to the first research program that I did, I actually did the same research program twice, but before I applied the first time, I reached out to one of the PIs at the university, at MD Anderson Cancer Center. And she let me come in and tour her lab and kind of talk to the grad students and mentors in her lab, and to see like what kind of research they do. And I was lucky enough to actually get accepted to the MD Anderson research program, and she said she would be my mentor for that program after I expressed my interest in what she did. So yeah.
Yeah, so for the summer internship, I did do research because the Baylor page does provide a lot of information on the CMO internship. But then in addition to that, a lot of other student perspectives on it, basically. So just talking to the students and looking at what the page has, what the internship has to offer. That was basically the research there. And since I already have an interest in this,
For me, my first research lab I was in on campus, I didn't do, like I did background research on the topics of the professor's lab I joined before, but to be honest, I didn't really knew what a bacteriophage was. I just received a random email saying, hey, you should apply for this. And I was like, sure, why not? And I did a little research and I looked at like a few of her previous publishings and I applied and turns out I made it. So
Awesome. Okay, so we have one last question before we head into the summer programs Q&A. This one is, what lab techniques, instruments, or methods do you most often use, or is the most interesting or exciting for you to use? And what's been the most challenging and rewarding aspects?
Yeah, so I don't think I ever mentioned what exactly I'm doing for my research now. And so my current research is looking to find an improved model for Behçet's disease, which is this rare autoimmune disease that's commonly found along people along the Silk Road. And so to do that, I've been doing a lot of like background research by doing like lit reviews, and then taking published gene sets that other researchers have done. They've like sequenced people's DNA and figured out what genes that they have that would contribute to this disease, and then running them through certain graphing tools to determine which genes are the most important for us to look at. Then I take this set and run it through a different graphing tool to see which mouse models would be the most appropriate. So in my everyday research for that project and for the other projects I've worked on, I do a lot of bash scripting. That's probably the number one thing that I do, along with Python scripting, which is Python and R scripting, which are two other programming languages. And then the most challenging aspect is just getting through like papers to read. Like I think my citation count for my thesis is at like 400, and so I have like so many papers to read. But the rewarding aspect is when you like finally hit upon a paper that like describes the thing that you're looking for, or you start putting things together, your program like works like after working on it for like months. It's really rewarding to like have that closure and be like, all right, I solved it.
So the paper that my lab is writing now is basically a comparative study of how like diesel exhaust particles affect the blood-brain barrier. And so we're comparing like immortalized human cells with immortalized rat cells. And so like all the like hands-on stuff that I'm doing is with cell culture, which is basically like putting cells in a flask and putting media in that flask and making sure that they're growing okay. And so right now we're in the process where we're just trying to like grow healthy enough cells that they can like form tight junctions to form the blood-brain barrier. And so that's been a process. We started working on it last semester. The most rewarding part is like whenever you just see like nice healthy cells. The challenging part is whenever our cells get contaminated. Last semester we had like a whole spreadsheet with like 30 or 40 different things that could have been contaminating our cells, because like whenever one thing is like contaminated, we had to like decontaminate all the other cells in the hood. And we basically had to start from step one like 3 times last semester because we didn't know like what was contaminated and where the fungi was coming from whenever we would image our cells. So this semester we're going strong. We're only 2 weeks strong, but we're gonna hope that we can keep our streak. And yeah.
So for my project, we look at the multi-generational effects of traumatic brain injuries in mice by doing like MRI imaging. So a lot of what I do is using a program called IDL to go through all of those images, because a lot of times MRI data sets have like hundreds of images. So I write programs that go through all of those images to take out the data that we need. And I think the biggest like challenge or like learning curve for me was like coming in and not really having that much experience in IDL. I had like some experience in other programming languages, but not really in IDL. So it's kind of challenging to come in and like not only learn how to do it, but learn how to like actually write neat scientific code. But then the most rewarding aspect is always when the program actually works.
So first it wasn't in labs. So at first it was just reading a lot of literature and trying to find other studies that basically paralleled what we wanted to do. So that was a long process. Then after that, we kind of flowed into find Delphi model, which is a survey model. So learning more into that, how we can apply it, kind of turning it more into how we could get the best results, especially at a time to where, you know, responses wouldn't be as high. So that was something that we had to learn, and it was fun to use, as well as Qualtrics for making the surveys. But I think the most challenging part would have been looking at other literature and trying to find how we can fit that into our study and kind of get the best execution of just getting responses out.
So in my lab, we do both. So basically we do both behavioral and wet lab stuff. We have mice, and like with the mice, we can do so many different things. We can do the forced swim test to see if they're depressed. If they're depressed, they're not going to swim as far. They're not going to try to get their way out. We can test fatigue by putting them on running wheels and seeing how far they'll or how much they'll run. We can do also Skinner boxes and so many other cool like different behavioral tasks. We can do social interaction, see how it interacts with a different mouse or novel object to see, oh, does it remember? We can test its cognition. And if we have, and that's when the cool part is, well, if we see anything that's interesting from our behavioral tests, we'll collect tissue from the mice and we'll do different like protein assays and RNA assays and DNA assays. And one of the most interesting techniques in my lab is we'll slice like the brains really thin and like do fluorescence dye to like mark like tau proteins for aging and cognition, for example. And like we'll do and we'll see the immunohistochemical stain of the brain, and it's really pretty seeing the different colors. The most rewarding aspect of research for me from any of the labs that I was a part of is just knowing that my research can potentially help someone in the future, that I'm like helping a technology take a step forward, that my research could potentially help someone.
All right, so I know majority of our members will be applying to some sort of summer research or internship program. So we're going to get right ahead to start asking our panelists. So first is, what types of programs did you apply for? What is your advice for approaching professors for letters of recommendation? And what was your process of drafting cover letters and personal statements like?
Yeah, so like as I mentioned earlier, I applied, I did 2 summer programs. And so the programs that I mainly applied for were more bioinformatics related. I really wanted to do something bioinformatics related. So the first program I applied to was more computer science focused of the bioinformatics side, if that makes sense. And the second program I applied to was more bio and like cancer focused of the bioinformatics side. And so that was my personal choice because I really wanted to see the spectrum of what to do. And when I was younger, I had my computer science experience was better than my biology experience. And then as I got older, I guess my biology experience caught up. And so my advice for approaching professors for letter of rec is to make friends with your professors. They're really nice people. You know, like I think I told a story once about like how I was at like this beach bash, which is a party that ECS throws. And I like walked up to the table and had lunch with 2 of the professors in the comp sci department. And then I ended up doing research with one of them. And so like, again, they're all really approachable. They're all human and they want to talk to you. And so just get to know them well. And when the time comes, if you know them well, they'll be more than happy to write a letter of rec for you, because they know what it's like to be in your shoes. And then my process of drafting cover letters and personal statements. So I really kind of wrote towards what the prompt was saying. So some of my, I think I had one of my research internships wanted people to focus on innovation. And so I talked about how like bioinformatics is such an innovative field and how there's so many different things you can do in innovation. And then the other one was a little bit more focused on other things. And so like I kind of tailored my essay towards that. And so yeah, the advice I can give you there is just kind of tailor it to what your program is looking for.
So I didn't apply to any summer research programs. I wasn't really into it. Like at the time that I joined my lab, I didn't know like what I wanted to do for research, like I said, until I went to like a talk by Dr. K, and she was like basically saying like how to get into a research lab like one-on-one. And so she talked about like Be True and like Eureka and all the rest of the research sites. But she was also the one who gave me the idea of like just like email people to see if they're like accepting people into their lab. And so I started like training to be in my lab like the summer before my junior year. So because I was staying back in Waco to do summer CL, and so the whole time I was doing summer CL, I was still like in lab getting the hands-on techniques that I needed. So I didn't like have to like apply to be in a program. But in terms of like asking professors for letters of rec, like you said, make sure you're making friends with your professors. Not all of them are going to be friendly, so you kind of got to gauge like which ones you think that you can trust. But just keep going to office hours. A lot of them are there to help you. You know, just try your best, and like they're just here to help you. In terms of writing like cover letters and personal statements, I would say don't apply to something if you don't think that you're actually going to be passionate about it, because you don't want to just like get into it just for the sake of getting into it and then like not like what you're doing, because one, you're wasting your own time, and you've also taken up the spot of someone who might have been more passionate about it than you are.
So I'm really interested in going into biosciences and biophysics especially. So those were the kind of summer research programs I was looking for, were programs that would let me work with other biophysicists. As far as like approaching professors for letters of rec, I would say make sure to ask like what they need to know or what they would like to know before writing the letter, because they might only know you from like a classroom situation or from coming to their office hours, but there might be things you want them to highlight in their letter of rec that they need to know about. So make sure to ask like if they need to know any additional information before writing your letter of recommendation. And then for drafting cover letters and personal statements, I would just say like your personal statement is like your time to shine. Like they as far as like the whatever committee is working on acceptances, they only know what you tell them. So make sure to like really highlight everything that you want them to know about you in your personal statement.
So I applied for the CMO internship over the summer, then a Retina Care internship, and then just a few business internships here and there. In terms of approaching professors for letters of rec, basically I think it's always best to have a strong foundation with them beforehand. Just when you're talking to them, you have a relationship, they know who you are. I think that's the biggest thing. And then they know what your goals are and how adamant you are to get to that point, and fix your work ethic and everything. That way you can get a good letter of rec out, or just approach them with kindness, because they know what position you're in. So I think always being polite and respectful for their time would be good for approaching for letters of rec. And in terms of drafting cover letters, for those I had to do, like most of them were basically tailored to where I was applying. So basically the experiences that I wanted to highlight were according to experiences that I feel like they would want to see. So basically with that, it can show that you're a better fit for them, or how you can basically be influential in whatever internship or whatever program you're trying to get into. Then personal statements, I feel like those are kind of different, but then for personal statements is basically like what your journey was, why you're at the position you are now. And basically you paint the true picture of yourself that you feel other people would like and that you want to put out.
So back in last summer, I originally planned on just doing more research in my lab. Said, hey, I know my professor. I'm just going to do research at Baylor with my new professor. Our lab's just starting up. Well, and then COVID happened and all the labs got closed down at Baylor. But did this stop me? No, I decided to do research, and I researched different programs other than all the Baylor ones that were closed. And I came across one that was virtual. Now, it was really neat because because you're thinking, okay, if it's research, I need to be there in person, right? Well, no, I mean, my virtual person, I was connected to a dermatopathologist in Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York City. And like the most part of her research, she like clinicians did the dirty work of how to make the how to do the stains. So it wasn't like, oh, I messed it up. Now we have to keep on doing it till like get the right day-to-day data sample. But it was actually, I didn't have to mess up so many times. It was so neat because I already had the research data with the doctor, and I was able to just analyze it with the doctors and try to figure out a pattern. And we were able to write a paper, and it was, well, draft the paper. We're still working on it, but it was really neat. My advice, kind of like everyone else said for letters of rec, make sure you know the professor. Don't just do someone you were like super quiet in the class, never said hi to the professor. And also number two, make sure like make it easy for the professors. They have a busy schedule. Make sure you give them your resume. Even make like a list of things you did to help them. Like if it's your PI who you want a letter of rec from to apply for a summer internship program, maybe say, well, in your lab, I helped you write this protocol, and I helped you, and I presented, and I learned all these different skills and all these other things. And as far as personal statements, okay, there's 3 things you must do. Number 1, you want to answer the question. This goes to also applying for medical schools and like grad statements, all that upper level. You want to have a clear reason of why do you want to be this? Why do you want to do this? Because you can say, I want to help people and I love science. Let's say that was your medical school personal statement. Well, you can say those 2 things and be a grad student. You can, to help people, you can be an engineer. You have to be specific and unique. So you have to make it personal. So like add like special things from you. Like, well, I have a deep passion with I really like biology. I always been into it. Or just you want to be really unique and like connect. And then also let's see, I was brainstorming 3 different points. Okay, so number 1, answer the question. Number 2, be personal. And number 3, I forgot. But you just want to make it personal. You want to show, not tell. So tell about how you had to overcome the experience in your lab.
Awesome. Thank you, Catherine. Catherine's one of our long-term committee members and officers here. And so she gives us a lot of advice, and I'm really grateful for that. As well as all the other panelists, thank you all so much. I'm pretty sure all the members really, really find it useful. And so now I will hand it back to Shavneet.
Yeah, thank you so much to our panelists. I know we're right at time, so we put the link to the sign up form in the chat. So if you need to go to another meeting, go ahead and fill that out. But we will take some questions if you guys have any, and I think we already have some in the chat. I think the first one was, did you guys use LinkedIn or Handshake to find any of these research positions and internships outside of Baylor? Panelists, any of you are welcome to answer this.
Yeah, so I didn't use LinkedIn and Handshake when I was applying for my research internships. However, that being said, I was hoping to do like a research semester this semester, but it didn't work out. And I used LinkedIn and Handshake a lot for that. I use to find my research internships, there's like I think RIT has a website that lists all the bioinformatics internships across the nation. And so that's what I used to find my internships.
Okay, we have another question. Should you aim for professors whose classes you did well in, or is it sometimes valuable to ask a professor from a class you struggled in for letters of recommendation?
I say either or. You just want to make sure the professor knows you, and you want to have a good, you want to have be able to have them be able to write you something as good.
Yeah, I would say the same. Like, go to someone that you know, because you can't go to a professor who's like never seen you in office hours and saying, "Hey, can you write me like a letter of rec?" Because they don't know you and they can't speak to your character. Like, they're not going to be able to write you anything. But there's like a professor who I actually got like a C in her class, but she was still like willing to write me a letter of rec because she knew like how hard that I was trying the whole semester.
Any other questions? You're welcome to unmute yourselves or just put it in the chat. All right, well, I think that's it. Thank you again so much to our panelists for being here. We really appreciate you sharing about your research with us. And don't forget to connect with us on all of our different social media pages. Oh, and I'll point out, actually Catherine and Sam both presented at RID last semester, and we recorded their research presentations, so they're on our YouTube if you want to go check them out and learn more about what they do. And that is all. So if you're still here, you can go ahead and scan this QR code to sign in. Thank you all for being here. Prospective members, you're welcome to go to our website and fill out the membership form. If we convince you to join Burst, we really hope we did. And then we're just going to start our post-meeting social right after this. So stick around if you want to stay for that.